So I think we can start if everybody is ready. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Sophie Reyes, and I'm the Marketing Director at Best Buy Medical. I'm happy to be your host. Today, we will talk about intermittent urethral catheter with BD-BARD. We will also review common urinary conditions and the types of catheter used in practice. I'm very pleased to welcome today Connie Wooten, clinical specialist at BD with over 30 years of experience in urology care. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can just write them into the chat and we will answer them at the end. I wish you a very good webinar, and Connie, please go ahead.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I would like to thank Best Buy for this opportunity to share the BD BARD portfolio products and demonstrating their alignment with Canadian best practices. And thank you to all of you who are taking your time today to join our session. You may be curious to know why we're sharing both BARD and BD brands. BARD has been a leading and trusted name in urology since 1907, well known for exceptional quality and continuous innovation. Since BD's acquisition of BARD in 2017, we've continued to build on that legacy as patients are at the center of all that we do. I will begin by highlighting urinary conditions patients may experience and the situations in which urinary catheterization can be most beneficial. Urinary incontinence and retention are two common conditions that often require catheterization. Incontinence refers to the involuntary leakage of urine, while retention is the inability to fully empty the bladder. Both conditions affect one's quality of life. To address these conditions, we have various catheter types available. When the page turns. Let's go. All righty. So there are three main types of catheters: intermittent, indwelling, and external catheters. Now, intermittent catheters, you may have heard them referred to as in and out catheters, as they are inserted for each urination and removed when the bladder is emptied. These are single-use devices and discussed after each and every use, and they can be utilized often 4, 6, or maybe even 8 times a day. A healthcare professional generally provides good instruction to a patient or caregiver on how to insert this catheter, although a healthcare professional can insert themselves as well. The indwelling catheter can be used for both retention and incontinence and remains in place for extended periods, so up to 29 days, and are always inserted and replaced by a healthcare professional. These remain in the bladder and held by an inflated balloon once the catheter is placed within the bladder. External catheters are used for incontinence only, and this is a non-invasive catheter and can be administered by healthcare professionals, by patients, or by caregivers. Today's discussion is on intermittent catheters. So they can be referred to as IC, or you might hear them referred to as ISC, so for intermittent self-catheterization. So let's look at the patient populations who benefit most from intermittent catheterization. If you look at the pie chart here, we can see that spinal cord injury patients take up about 41%, spina bifida 14%, surgical complications at 15%, and those are generally in that pelvic area. Diabetes, BPH, or benign prostatic hyperplasia, generally in older men, or strictures, and multiple sclerosis. We will review intermittent catheters and their design features. So intermittent catheters, as I mentioned, are single-use devices used to drain urine when natural voiding is just not possible. So just to show you the anatomy of the catheter, we have at the distal end a smooth tapered tip for a nice smooth insertion. And close to that are eyelets or drainage eyes. You can see that there's 2 here. And this is where the urine will pass through into the catheter and then out the funnel end into a toilet or some sort of receptacle. Extension tubing can be placed here if a patient cannot transfer to a toilet and needs longer tubing for this to reach the toilet. Beyond structure, there are some other features that play a critical role in the patient experience. Starting on the left, we can see here a catheter material, starting at softer to a more firm material. Red rubber is actually the softest, and this is generally used by healthcare practitioners because it is so flexible. Next would be silicone, polyurethane, and then PVC as we get to a more firm catheter. And this generally, the preference would be depending on patient dexterity often, and also patient comfort. So we also see that catheter size and length are other features, and we can see the color-coded funnel ends on all of them will align to their French size, starting with the smaller sizes, and as the gauge or the French size gets larger, so will that catheter diameter. We have them in pediatric sizes, female anatomy, and male anatomy. We also have different size tips, different types of tips. We have the straight tip, which is actually the most common. And then we have the Coudé tip, which Coudé is French for bend or elbow. And you can see that tip here. And this is really good for patients with enlarged prostate or strictures. And we do know that, well, Harvard Medical School says that 50% of men over the age of 60 will have an enlarged prostate, and 90% of men over the age of 85 will. So this will be a good tool in their toolbox. The other feature would be eyelets, and the process for creating eyelets is important and is known as cold punching. Literally punching a hole in that catheter, but it does produce rough edges. The catheter may create discomfort and potentially trauma to the mucosal lining of the urethra during the insertion and withdrawal. So many catheters today have polished eyelets for a more comfortable and protected insertion, including BD's catheters. And lastly, we have systems. We have different types of systems: standard, those with protected sleeves or grips, closed systems, and compact. So before we get started looking at the catheters specifically, we have a question we are hoping that you could answer in the chat. Do your customers inquire about intermittent catheter coatings? We'll just give you a minute to put that in the chat. And Chris, maybe you could let us know, or Sophie, we could hear what some of those questions are.
At the moment, we don't have any questions.
No.
No, don't be shy. We need some questions.
Well, maybe the customers aren't inquiring about coding, so it'll be important today for us to review that so we can support our customers with this education.
We have two answer right now. Three answer: Nicole saying yes, Tasmin saying yes, Jasmine, not that I'm aware of.
Alrighty, well, let's move on to catheter coatings. And then if you have any questions at the end, we can speak to those. So among all features, catheter surface is probably one of the most important features for the patient experience and outcomes. So there are two different catheter surface types. There is non-hydrophilic and hydrophilic coatings. And within that category, there are two separate types as well. So we have the uncoated catheter, so non-hydrophilic uncoated catheter. This catheter will require a single-use sterile water packet of lubricant that would need to be added to the surface to aid with insertion. You can get an uncoated catheter that is pre-lubricated. It still does not have a catheter coating, but it is lubricated, so it will not require that sterile water soluble lubricant. Then we have the hydrophilics. Again, in that category, we have two options. You can get a catheter with the hydrophilic coating that is designed to reduce friction and trauma and may reduce the risk of UTIs. And this is really important, and there is a lot of evidence to support hydrophilic catheters. So the two methods are one that is included with a water sachet within the sterile packaging. So although it is hydrophilic, it does need to be activated by that water sachet, which would need to be opened. And then we have the ready to use. So as its namesake, the activation of the lubricated surface is not required. So as soon as you open that packaging, it is ready to use. So let's see how these features align with clinical best practice guidelines. So there's an organization that sets the tone in continence management, and it's called NSWAC. It's Nurses Specialized in Wound Ostomy in Continence Canada. I'm sure you probably have heard of it, or you have maybe spoken to one of the NSWAC nurses. They have published adult and pediatric intermittent urinary catheter decision aids outlining principles for selecting intermittent catheters, which align with the features that we have already discussed. So in their decision aid, they say that smooth eyelets are preferred, fire polished or ultrasonically smooth, to minimize that urethral abrasion or erosion. So very important. And then next we have our hydrophilic catheters, also preferred. As I mentioned prior, they reduce friction and trauma and may reduce the risk of UTI. Additionally, we did want to bring up ANTT, or aseptic non-touch technique, or no-touch technique. And they also shared that this technique must be followed with insertion of intermittent catheters. And this really is a practice framework for all invasive procedures. And it really is an infection prevention framework to be sure that whatever is placed within the body has not been touched and is sterile. So with our catheters, we can look to protective sleeves or grips to decrease insertion contamination caused by handling. We will provide a QR code for this insertion aid and a few other documents at the end of this session. So next we'll review the BD intermittent catheter portfolio. So we offer a comprehensive range of intermittent catheters across 3 tiers: standard, advanced, and premium. And each product is designed to meet different patient needs. So we'll look at these in a little bit more detail. We have another question. Do you receive requests for intermittent self-catheterization catheters with insertion sleeves or grips? I'll just leave a few more.
We've got some thumbs up.
Ooh.
Thumbs up.
Oh, good.
No, Chloe said no, no request.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sometimes. Patty says yes, sometimes.
Okay. Well,
no.
More? No? Okay.
No, just no. 2
Okay.
yes, 1 no. 3 no, 1 yes.
All righty. Well, thanks for your input. So we'll move on and we'll talk a little bit more about those options when we look at some of the BD catheters here. So the BD intermittent catheter is the most basic and affordable option within the BD portfolio. It is a PVC uncoated intermittent catheter. It features heat polished eyes. We know how important those are. And it comes unlubricated, which means that we'll have to use a lubricant prior to insertion to assist with insertion. It has the colored funneled end, so we can determine what that French size is. This one has 4 heat polished eyes, and it comes in a variety of sizes for both pediatric and the male and female anatomies. It is available in both straight and the Coudé tips. Just for those who have been around for a little while, you may have recalled CleanCath. It was a catheter that we sold but discontinued 2 years ago. So this standard catheter, just BD intermittent it's called, has replaced CleanCath. So if you're looking for a replacement, this would be that option for you. Next, we have Magic 3 with SureGrip. It is a hydrophilic catheter designed to reduce friction trauma. It's made of 3 layers of silicone, offering comfort and ease of handling. It includes that SureGrip sleeve. So you can see this is color-coded rather than the funnel end. And note the texture of this sleeve, because there are options. Because of the dexterity of our different end users, it's important to have those options. So this will provide aseptic non-touch technique. It is also packaged with that sterile water to activate the hydrophilic coating, and that will be inside the sterile packaging and can be released within, and we'll demonstrate that a little later on. Again, it is in a range of sizes for the male anatomy and the pediatric population, and has both straight and the Coudé tips. BD ready to use. A catheter is ready to use, like its namesake, straight from the package. It features that important hydrophilic coating, and it has the heat polished eyelets. It's again available in a range of sizes for the male, female, and anatomy and the pediatric population, and is available in both Coudé and the straight tip. Notice the insertion sleeve on this. It is different than the SureGrip sleeve, and it is important, as I mentioned earlier, to provide options to those with the varying degrees of dexterity. Also note the packaging. The packaging is somewhat similar to Magic 3. It does have this peel tab with beneath it is an adhesive to adhere to dry surfaces to aid with the insertion, and it also has that finger pull as well. This catheter is the most affordable intermittent catheter in the ready-to-use category. Next question. Do your customers request intermittent self-catheterization catheters with attached drainage bags?
We've got 1 no, 2 no, 3 no. 1 yes.
Oh, okay, good.
And 1 no.
All righty. So we'll move on to the next catheter then. And this is the final catheter we'll show you today. And this is called Touchless Plus. It's an all-in-one closed system that includes a pre-lubricated catheter. It does not have the hydrophilic coating, but it does have an 1100 ml drainage bag. This is ideal for patients who need a portable solution. Some of the kits and codes also include gloves, antiseptic swabs, and underpads. And this catheter would be considered specialty. You probably wouldn't use this, every day with your 4 to perhaps 8 times a day. You would use this in certain situations, such as long car drives. So it is important to have that vinyl bag to contain that urine when you're in those types of spaces. It is available in the 12 and 14 French. It is considered a unisex and only available in a straight tip. So this is our closed system option. So to summarize, BD offers a comprehensive range of intermittent catheters across the 3 tiers that you're looking at now, the standard, the advanced, and the premium. So with standard, BD intermittent has the smoothed eyelets, and this is the most affordable option within the portfolio. Magic 3 with SureGrip has those smooth eyelets, that hydrophilic coating, and the protective sleeve. It does require opening of the sterile water packet. The premium or BD ready to use, again, has all of those check boxes, the eyelets, the hydrophilic, the protective sleeve, and ready to use right out of the package. And again, it is the most affordable IC catheter in the ready to use category. So in closing, BD offers solutions tailored to urinary retention, incontinence, supporting patients across the continuum of care. We would be happy to provide education on our indwelling catheters or our external catheters as well. And as I promised, if you want to take a minute to collect these QR codes. We have the one for NSWAC, Adult Intermittent Catheter Decision Aid. If you happen to miss this, it is free online if you Google it. I also wanted to add the Clean Intermittent Urethral Catheterization in Adults, Canadian Best Practices. Now, it says it's for nurses. I found this was a wonderful document, even for patients it would be, and it gives extra tools to support people who are trying to utilize these for the first time, and really does even speak to, you know, the insertion sleeves for those new users. It also gives them tips and other tools. NSWAC is a one-page go-to. I think it's great for retailers, great for patients, great for family members, and of course nurses, but this is a more comprehensive document. And then finally, we have our BD Showpad intermittent catheter literature and instructional videos. And I would encourage patients to use those product-specific videos. And really, they really help with the steps to follow ANTT or aseptic non-touch technique. Now, we do have a demonstration, and normally I would just do this right now in front of you, but to avoid tech issues, we actually quickly did a video. But in presenting this video today, unfortunately, the audio is a little quiet, so I'm going to do the audio on my own as we move through this. So I'll now have to catch up with what I had previously done. Hopefully, it will align well with the video at this point. This demonstration will provide information. I'm going to turn off the audio because you probably can't hear it. So I will just go through with this. This demonstration will provide information on the insertion of 3BD intermittent catheters utilizing their unique features. It does not contain all the steps for aseptic insertion, so please review the individual product videos. And we are going to start here with the BD intermittent catheter. This is an uncoated, unlubricated catheter. It is a 16-inch, so this would be used for a male anatomy. Not to say that a female anatomy could also use this. If somebody needed to access a toilet from a wheelchair, this might give them the extra length. It does have the heat polished eyes and the color-coded funnel. In this demonstration, I'm using a sterile 2x2 to help me with aseptic non-touch technique. I am adding sterile lubricant, water-soluble lubricant, to coat all aspects of the catheter. So I am just inserting into the meatus and through the urethra, and I'm going to look for it to come out into the bladder through those eyelets. Once that urine is coming through the eyelets and out the funnel end into a receptacle, I will hold the catheter there until the urine ceases. Once it ceases, I will slowly start to remove. If the urine does commence again, I will hold it there until it ceases again and then continue to remove it and discard it in the appropriate manner. Next, we're going to show you the Magic 3 catheter. This the Magic 3 hydrophilic catheter coated. It has the hydrophilic coating. It also has a SureGrip insertion sleeve to support ANTT, and you can see at the end there is that water sachet. And we're not going to show a demonstration of how to insert this catheter, but I will show you how to open the water sachet within that sterile packaging. So basically, you would just take the packaging closed, fold it, and apply pressure to the sachet to release the sterile water. And once that is released, we're going to invert within the packaging at least 3 times to activate that hydrophilic coating. Again, if you look at the packaging, I'll show you how to use that blue tab and adhere that to a surface with the next catheter. So the next catheter that we are going to show you is the BD ready to use. So As its namesake, it is just ready to use out of the packaging. This is a hydrophilic coated catheter. It is activated already in the packaging, so there are no extra steps. Here you can see we have, again, that pull tab that has the adhesive that we can will eventually place on that dried surface. It does have a pull ring to assist with opening as well. We're going to open that down past the funnel into the sleeve so we can grasp onto the funnel and sleeve. But before we do that, we're going to adhere that packaging to a dried surface to aid with the aseptic non-touch insertion. Unfortunately, you can't really see that off my desk, but it will come into view in just a moment. So as you can see, I have the insertion sleeve. I'm going to move that to about 6 inches away from the distal end of the catheter. You can see how well lubricated and coated that catheter is. And I'm going to insert it and continue to insert into the urethra until I see it in the bladder, holding that insertion sleeve in order to have ANTT or aseptic non-touch technique. As you notice, this sleeve is significantly different from Magic 3. So we do have options, again, depending on the dexterity of the patient. And you can see it's within the bladder now. This is when urine would drain out the funnel end, and then, of course, we would release slowly. And if the urine commenced again, we would stop until it finished. And on completion, we would remove. And then on removal, we can place it easily into that packaging. And that packaging could be, in your own bathroom, or it could be on a bathroom stall, which would make it very convenient. That is the end of our demonstration. I think we can take this time to move on to some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you very much. It was super interesting. We learned a lot of things. So I think we got a question in our chat from Caroline Rodrigue, which I can read the question. How often should a patient use an intermittent catheter? And how do a caregiver recommend the frequency?
So generally speaking, what the textbooks say is you're going to void as much as you would void if you didn't need a catheter. So probably every 3 to 4 hours. Again, it will depend on how much did I drink. So, I mean, we really want to encourage people to drink over 1,200 mils. A fluid a day, that would be the bottom end. But obviously, if you drink more, you would catheterize more. But generally speaking, every 3 to 4 hours until, you rest at bedtime, where, if a lot of people will, stop drinking shortly before bedtime so they don't have to catheterize as much through the night.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and caregivers. There's a second part about caregivers.
Yes.
I think really, again, it's monitoring that volume, and if the end user, the person requiring the catheter, feels that they are distended and need that, but generally they will get on some sort of a program. And honestly, using the NSWAC nurses or SWAN nurses out there, urology nurses to help support, we're really hoping patients are going home well equipped with the education and information that will adapt to their lifestyle.
Thank you very much. Do we have more questions from the people in the room? No?
It's a quiet group.
People are super shy.
Are there shorter catheter, like 6-inch?
Yes. So good question. I mean, I did talk about the different sizes, but I didn't really mention them specifically. So the female urethra is about 1.5 inches long. So obviously they're not going to need as long as a catheter as a male whose urethra is about 7 to 8 inches long. So this is actually a really good question. So for females, we have, and I think across the board, most have the shorter catheters. we have 6-inch and we have 7.5-inch. And our 7.5-inch does have the sleeve. So the fact that it is a little bit longer, it's not really a deterrent because we have the sleeve on that one to be able to accommodate. For pediatric, we have 10-inch. So that could be male anatomy, female anatomy. And then we have 16-inch for the male anatomy. But of course, I mentioned this before that female anatomies can accept that catheter as well. I just get the smaller French size because you do want the smallest that your anatomy will manage comfortably and that will provide that urine output. But sometimes patients cannot get to a receptacle with the shorter one. So if they can't transfer or sit on a toilet, they may use a male smaller French size to get access to the toilet. So they could put that funnel end over the toilet. Good question.
Thank you. I don't think we have more questions in the chat.
All righty, but feel free to reach out, honestly, to any of us, and we'd be happy to support.
Mm-hmm. And anyway, the replay will be available soon. So it was recorded. So all the participants will receive an email today or tomorrow with the link, so we can watch it again on all the weekend and every night and when we want.
Oh gosh.
Like a great movie. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much for all of you for joining today.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.